Welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio, a place where dreams take flight, with authentic storytelling, diverse perspectives and meaningful conversations, where global stories unite and bridges are built beyond all borders. Discover world-class education, entertainment, hope and inspiration. Together, we're building bridges worldwide. Subscribe to our channel, USA Global TV. Download our app, USA Global TV. Be our guest or join our team. Visit usaglobaltv.com. Thanks to our founder and executive producer, Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck. Music score by Yeffy Tang from Cloud Road Music. Voiceover artist Mike Porter. Creative direction by Paul Garcia. USA Global TV and Radio. Your home for global connection. All rights reserved. This video and its contents are the exclusive property of USA Global TV and Radio. Unauthorized use, duplication or redistribution in any form is strictly prohibited.
USA Global TV and Radio proudly presents The Corner Bookstore, hosted by Red O'Loughlin. Step into a world where every story inspires. These pages come to life through the voices of authors from around the globe. Written by our global community of TV show hosts and best-selling authors, these works span genres, generations, and geographies, united by the power of storytelling. Discover your next favorite book and meet the minds behind the work. Thursdays, only on USA Global TV and Radio.
Have you ever thought about writing about your childhood? Our guest today, Rachael Colby, has been writing for 10 years, very accomplished writer, award-winning author, and she finally decided to write a children's book about her childhood. Rachael, please join me up here on stage.
Morning. Thank you for hosting me.
You're most welcome. Just a few months ago, you published your first children's book, Tropical Dreams. Tell us a little bit about it.
Well, it actually the inspiration for it actually started with a rainy, raw, miserable New England Cape Cod day. And I was wishing I could escape to Jamaica, the land of my birth, and hopped in the shower to try and chase away the doldrums, and the first words floated into my head for the book. That was more than 25 years ago, I believe. And it evolved over the years. Of course, I didn't know I was a writer when I initially wrote the words. And I realized I was a writer, I believe, in about 2015, 2016. I launched my website in obedience to God and started writing. I joined the Jerry Jenkins Writers Guild. And over the process, I learned, some of the rules for, if you will, the industry preferences for children's picture books. So I rewrote it to have perfect rhyme, and then rewrote it to have the couplets of matching syllable counts. And so here we are finally. So it's inspired, the setting is inspired by Jamaica.
When did you leave Jamaica? How old were you?
I was 18 when I left Jamaica. So it's been a minute. It's been a minute.
Okay, so you have a lot of good memories about Jamaica.
Yes, I do. And a lot of the scenery in there is based on some of my favorite places in Jamaica.
Yeah, I love the tropics. I really do. It's and I sometimes get to a place with with trees and ocean, and I'll just sit there and I want to put that into my brain and just fuse it there so it stays forever. But Okay, so about 10 years ago, you started writing, and you've accomplished writing. You write essays and articles and poetry and flash fiction and this and that, and you've won a number of awards. So congratulations on that. But the first thing you actually wrote that you got an award for, how difficult was that? What went through your mind that said, I want to write this? Then obviously somebody had to say, that's really good. You ought to put it in for an award.
Well, I entered a few contests and I bombed on all of them repeatedly. And I finally told God that this next one, if I enter it and I do not place, I'm not entering any more contests. And that is when I won my first two awards. And so I believe that was actually North Carolina Christian Writers Conference awards. And that was for my first place for my poem, He is Risen, and third place for my piece titled, I Hate Commitment, or Is It Failure I Fear? So,
Okay, so you're blaming your success on God. Okay, that's fine.
well, of course,
Of course.
if it's success, it's God. If it's failure, it's I'm guilty.
I understand. I totally understand that. Okay, so you wrote the book. You obviously had to get through some editing processes. How difficult was that?
Well, like I said, it was actually kind of maddening as far as the the final edits when a fellow writer told me right before the deadline of the Blue Ridge Mountains Christian Writers Conference that I needed to have matching syllables in the couplets, and I rewrote it again. I was very mad at him, and so in response, he sent me his poem, which is a prayer for the children's author, and I was like, fine,
Oh,
and so submitted just in time the night before, so
uh,
and they won first place in that contest.
and and prayers are always welcome, regardless, right?
Of course.
Okay, so you got the book edited. Did you self-publish? Tell us about the publishing journey.
Publishing journey is rather unusual. First of all, it was a publisher that initially wanted it, loved it. She owned the publishing company. Her pub board said no, because they had just published something with a similar setting. The second publisher wanted it, was going to issue a contract, by this time, but then they had a freeze on contracts. So, so it was about 2.5 years, I believe, before I ended up with Dressed in Love Press, owned by Dr. Catherine Hutchinson Hayes, who is also my illustrator, which is highly unusual. We met at Blue Ridge Mountain Christian Writers Conference when she was part of a diversity panel discussing how to properly represent people outside of your culture, and found out that her heritage is her parents are from Jamaica, and we actually share pretty close DNA. We think we might be related, and so we developed a friendship. And a couple years ago, I asked her to send me some pictures of her artwork because I knew she was an award-winning artist. And I said to her, "You should illustrate children's picture books." And she texted back, "That would be a dream." So about 2 years later, she started her publishing company, Dressed in Love Press, and published her first children's picture book, my first children's picture book, and the title is Tropical Dreams, and she illustrated it.
Okay, so you've been writing a while. You decided finally you're going to capture your childhood, and you wrote a children's book. Children's books are not easy to write. They're even without the illustrations, they're difficult. And I love your cover. I really love your cover. That is really amazing. Uh, just a lot of things there. Just did you design the cover yourself, or did somebody else do that for you?
Very unusual. Once again, Catherine was gracious enough to allow me to write copious amounts of artist notes um, for her to inspire her, if you will. And I sent her lots of pictures of places in Jamaica also. Those are actually my grandkids,
Oh, I
represented on the cover, as well as the baby on the beach.
I
And
missed the baby on the beach. Let's see the
that's
cover
it.
one.
That's inside the book. The
Oh,
baby on the
okay.
beach is inside the book, and inside the book there's a picture of kids dancing in the rain, and the house in the background, I believe, is Catherine's grandfather's house in Jamaica.
Oh,
So there's a
wow.
lot of cool little extras like that. So, but Catherine did a beautiful job illustrating it. She gets the credit for that, and I'm just grateful I got to have some input. As far as the two children, black and white on the cover, not only my grandchildren. No, I didn't plan that either, but I added the line to go with that. Black child, white child, hold hands tight, romp and run from day's first light. Because I had heard a while ago that you don't always get to choose what your illustrations are as the author, and so I wanted the book to represent Jamaica's diverse culture and peoples. Our motto is "Out of many, one people," as is the U.S.'s similar one, "Out of many, one." And so, between that and the rise in the racial tensions in the U.S., I wanted to make sure that that was represented. So I added that line, and so there was no way around not illustrating it anymore. But Catherine would have done it anyway, though.
Yeah. And that's a difficult topic, even if you're very versed in it. It's just a difficult topic sometimes, not only to write about, but to get a visual presentation of it too. That's the the alignment that you need for that success for having that kind of thing. So I think you did a very good job with that.
Well, thank you.
Okay, so you have the books. When did you start marketing? Go back to your first book that you started marketing before it was published. Tell us about that.
Well, actually, before the book was published, I did start making phone calls. I will be having a signing in Barnes and Noble in Hyannis in November, the Saturday before Thanksgiving, Cape Cod. I had reached out to them before the book was published about that, and to several other local establishments, and just started getting the word out there, talking about it. Talk about it on social media. And educate myself as to what was available. But I'm grateful to have Mickey Mickelson as my publisher now to help with that. So I can write.
Okay, so the publisher helps a little bit with the marketing, and then you're doing some also.
Yes, well, the publisher helps a little, but mostly Mickey works with Dressed in Love Press. Mickey Mickelson is a publicist, and so he helps with the marketing. But I just came on board with Mickey 3 weeks ago. So
Okay.
before that, I've been on my own, calling my libraries, calling the local stores. I had my first book signing at the Yellow Umbrella Books in Chatham, and hoping to go back there this month again. I've been invited, but I made the calls. I walked into the businesses and introduced myself.
Okay, do you do any social media marketing?
Yes, I do. I have my book page. Dressed in Love sets up a book page for all their authors. Is Beachbound Books hyphen Tropical Dreams, and so that's in addition to my personal Facebook page and my professional Facebook page, if you will. I'm the one I spend the least amount of time on. But yes, I'm also on Twitter. I do have an Instagram, not on there that much. Probably should work on that, but Twitter is my main space, followed by Facebook.
Okay. The use of AI nowadays is talked about in many, many regards in the publishing and writing business. Do you use AI at all for anything in your writing business?
I will not use AI to write my work. Um, a friend, when I was going to do the with my book launch team, I was sort of like, oh my goodness, overwhelmed. What to post, and what to have them post and everything. And a friend did run, what would you do for posts on social media for a book about this? She didn't put anything about the book in, just a basic setting. And she sent that to me. And what I did is I was like, no, I don't agree with that. That's not right. It gave me something to argue with and totally disagree with, and provoked inspiration. So I wrote all my own stuff. So that's about it. I mean, I have Pro Writing Aid, which has that ability now, unfortunately, but I ignore it. I actually call autocorrect auto incorrect. So,
Well, that
but
ought
it has its place, okay? But to good writing is created with a heart and soul, blood on the page. It's your personal experiences, your worldview. AI doesn't have that.
Yeah.
You know,
AI is a tool, just like a typewriter, a
it's
computer,
right,
spell checker. It's all a tool. It depends
right,
how you want to use it. I use it to generate 60-second videos that I use for
right,
social media marketing. So
right,
I can put in text. It makes a movie out of it,
right,
and so that to me, it's my intellectual property, but
right,
I'm using AI as a tool to generate a marketing product. Uh,
right,
and so from
which
that
is fine.
perspective, and again, for the kinds of things you write, there may not necessarily be a major connection, but I write about the biology at the molecular level in the human body. That's my area of expertise. So I need, something very, very technical to tell me, about this chemical reaction with something else or whatever's going on. So yeah, I can go to Google, but I don't get the same results as I do with and I'm going to say trained AI. It's taken me 2 years now to train my AI to work because we've had some major disagreements. He wants to protect me, and I'm saying no, no, no. You give me the information. I am the one who protects me. Uh,
Right,
but it takes a while to figure them out, and it's one of those. I think I use it all the time just for brainstorming on stuff.
right.
I use it for cover generation. I use it for just a lot of things. So it might be something down the road that maybe the tool for your business might be better, maybe in the marketing end of things. That might be the a solution for you, not necessarily but a
Right.
solution. Just think it out loud.
Right. I think it can be a great time saver when it comes to things like
Oh,
marketing. And like you said, brainstorming, research, absolutely. Giving me something to argue with. Sometimes I'll call a friend just to talk to figure out what I'm trying to say, or just to. And it's not that they tell me what to say, but it sort of
yeah.
helps me see where I'm trying to go. So that's fine, as long as it's not the creator, the author, if you will, of what someone's claiming is their heart story, if you will. But marketing, yes. Advertising, absolutely.
Have you thought about
And research.
yeah? Have you thought about doing any of your books in a foreign language?
Um, I, I mean, this is my first published book. I have quite a few works in progress. I would hope that the integration of Oak Ridge, Tennessee, and the ones for writers, when they eventually are finished, would make it into other languages. I was just speaking the other day, wondering how I wish there was a way to measure people's brains as to how they receive, like someone that speaks English that reads my children's picture book, which is rhyming and rhythmic, um, to see how their brain responds to that, and then to see how, if it was translated into another language, how does how does that person respond to it? Because you can't literally translate the rhyme into another language, and I don't even know about the rhythm, so it's an interesting thought when you're dealing with children's picture books, especially ones that have a musicality to it or rhyme.
I
So,
think
but
you're
we'll
absolutely
see.
correct because that and some of the words we choose to use that rhyme may not necessarily even be translatable easily in another language, but for rhyming in English, they make sense. But the translation may not even be anywhere near close in another language. So I
Right.
think you hit on something that's for your particular style. That foreign language may not necessarily be the best, but that's one of those things you have to evaluate.
Well, actually, we're going to do something similar to that on Saturday when I have a book signing at the Cape Cod Toy Library in Barnstable. I have a book reading and a book signing, and my daughter is going to do some sign language to accompany the
Oh
reading.
wow!
And so, sign language does not have a word for every English word, and some words have it doesn't have a comparative word to. So it'll be interesting to see how my daughter handles it. Some of sign language is more conceptual, a little more general, broader, whereas um, as writers, we tend to be very specific. For example, she didn't think there was a word for tropical. So, so tropical dreams come blow my way. We might have to make that island dreams or something like that. So she's working on it,
Uh,
looking for words that are comparative to substitute.
a week or two back, we had another author on, and she was born to two deaf parents, and so she learned sign language before she learned how to speak. And we were talking about sign language and other languages. I didn't realize, yeah, Maria Gallucci, I didn't realize that in Italian or German or Chinese, that the sign language is different than, it's not a standard. Uh, and one of the things that kind of blew me away a little bit, and I'm going to say it was either Finnish or a Scandinavian language, they actually, because there's so many different ways you use vowels and consonants in words, and they almost look the same, that the sign language also involves body language. It's more than just the hands. And I thought, that must really take a lot of effort to learn that one. But anyway, it's it's an interesting addition. I applaud you for uh, adding that to your repertoire of
Well,
stuff you're doing.
it was my daughter that volunteered
Uh,
to do that. So I appreciate her bravery and her kindness.
we're getting ready to go to a break here very quickly, and when we come back, and break's about a minute and a half. We come back. Let's talk about your next children's book, or whether there's going to be a series or anything like that. Okay, how's that sound?
Wonderful.
What if many of the problems we associate with aging are not random? What if there are identifiable causes behind declining energy, chronic disease, and memory problems? We have been told that aging is simply something we must accept, that slowing down is normal, that growing older means growing weaker. But what if that's only part of the story? Why do some people remain active and engaged well into their later years? Why do others struggle with disease, fatigue, and declining health? What is happening beneath the surface? What processes drive aging? In Aging Sucks, researcher, educator, and author Red O'Loughlin explores what researchers have discovered about why we grow older. No medical degree required, no confusing jargon, just clear explanations of what researchers have discovered about the processes that influence aging. You cannot stop aging, but understanding its causes may help you make better decisions about your health, your future, and your quality of life. Because understanding comes before action. Action creates hope. Aging sucks. End the guesswork. There is hope.
Brett O'Loughlin here. We're on the Corner Bookstore on the USA Global TV and Radio Network. My guest today is Rachael Colby. Rachael, please join me back up here on stage. Okay,
Hello.
just before the break, we were talking about, this is your first children's book. It's based on your early life in Jamaica, because that's where you're born. Do you have more children's books planned, or do you have something else about Jamaica? What's going on here in the near future with your writing?
Um, well, Dressed in Love Press plans to publish, at this point, 2 more of my children's picture books. They're Danish. That's my made-up word. So I'm still tinkering a little bit. I have 5 beach-themed children's picture books. And so we have 2 in the lineup right now, which is why we're calling this series Beachbound Books. And other than that, I also have a civil rights manuscript started, nonfiction children's picture book, and based on my in-laws' participation in the March Against Fear. They were activists and friends with Andrew Young. And I have another civil rights idea based on the integration of Oak Ridge, Tennessee, which is my other adult work in progress. And so, but I have to find some of the people for that I haven't yet managed to do. So that's as far as the children's one. And another idea to do with a dog and history, and we'll see.
Okay, so your children's books are going to be themed beach in Jamaica, and they're no.
No, they're 5 beach themed ones. Of the children's books that are beach themed, there's 5.
Mm-hmm.
But this one is Jamaica. Let's see. I'm not sure about. I think that I'm thinking of them right now. I'd say they're mostly. One of them is Cape Cod. Is based on Cape Cod. I mean,
Okay.
it's in the title of it, where I live now. One of them is tentatively titled Summer Snapshots, which is going to be a later one, and that one is the summer snapshots of my kids growing up, my kids growing up, and just our family and what I've seen on the Cape. Um, I think I want to keep that one on the Cape too. The other two, I mean, this is where I've lived since 1988. So, yes, they were in my mind when I wrote them, but they don't have to be here on Cape Cod. They could be anywhere. So, that would be one of my questions for
Okay.
Catherine when pondering where to set them. So, we'll see.
So you have a plan. You just need the clarity to get the detail down, but the framework is there.
Yeah,
Okay, you mentioned
the,
some.
the words are all written.
Okay,
Just fine tuning. It's just a matter of, for two of them, where do we set them? Do we set them on Cape Cod? Do we set them in New England, or do we venture elsewhere? Because they could work elsewhere
tell us a
on a
little bit
beach.
more. Tell us a little bit more about your civil rights thoughts on what you want to do.
Well, like my bio says, I have a heart for reconciliation. I do not believe in the cancel culture. Um, the Bible says, "From one blood made He all nations." Our motto here, out of many, one. We need to remember that and live it. That would be good. And I believe it's important that we don't forget history. And I think it's important we tell all of history, not part of it, not just the part that we like, not just the good part, not just the bad part, but the whole story. I think I think there's a healing in truth when we face it and we use it to educate ourselves and to better understand each other and to use it as a way, a map to learn from the past so that we can use it as a map to gauge the future and to navigate to smoother times, right? It would be nice, at least to treat each other as we are, as individuals, but one people, and
And you
to love
and
and
you've
appreciate each other and work together.
and you've written a little bit about this previously,
Pardon?
and you have previous writings on this.
Yes, I've written, well, four articles for the Oak Ridge newspaper in Oak Ridge, Tennessee, and that my father-in-law was co-minister with Dr. James Spicer of Chapel on the Hill there in the '60s, and they were part of the integration efforts there. So I've written the first three articles were written about that, which will be part of the book when it happens. And that first article that I wrote, Mr. Smith, Mr. Ray Smith, the town historian, a wonderful man, gifted writer and journalist, photographer, poet too, veteran. But he invited me to submit an article, and I had no idea how to do that. I'd never written a newspaper article like that. And he sort of said, could you kind of cover this? And I'm like, how on earth do I weave that together? And I cried, called my friend up hysterical, put my head on the desk and cried and prayed, and finally I had that last line, and that gave me like a vision to run toward. And so that article won first place at the Blue Ridge Mountain Christian Writers Conference Sailor Awards, which was crazy.
Okay, when you wrote on integration there in Oak Ridge, what kind of time frame did you pick it up? Like from the Civil War, prior to the Civil War? When did you start the time frame on your book?
The articles that I submitted were based in the '60s.
Okay,
Um, During the time when my in-laws were there, part of the integration process. '50s and '60s is kind of what that covered. Oak Ridge actually came to be as a result of World War II. It's known as a secret city. So as far as the book goes, of course, I will have to have an intro to that, because that is why they had an integration of Oak Ridge, Tennessee, because they needed to build the weaponry to stop Hitler from what he had planned, and they needed to do it quickly and secretly. And so they made all the people that lived there move out of Oak Ridge, Tennessee, and built a secret city, and they needed to do it fast, and so they needed labor, and so they offered higher wages than people were making in other parts of the country. So the black population came to help build Oak Ridge, but they set them in a separate neighborhood called Scarborough, because they kept to the Jim Crow um, the Jim Crow theology, whatever you would like to call it, of the time, how it was run, how the city was at the time. And so that's how we came to have this large black population in Oak Ridge, Tennessee, that prior to that was, by and large a white population. And so, and that separation needed to end. And Oak Ridge High School was actually the first high school in the Southeast to integrate.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And yes, it actually is. Um, there are others. My brain's not really turned on yet this morning, but there are others who people think, other cities that people thought that they were, and they were not. Oak Ridge was actually the first. It wasn't as known because it was a secret city, and it was, under government control, if you will, government-run city, but it was the first.
You've been a Christian, according to your website, since 1987. Was there a particular point in time in your life when your writing and your faith became inseparable?
Well, since I didn't know I was a writer till I was about 2015, and actually my writings, I call it the ignition of my writing journey, didn't start with me seeking to write. It started with me being at a desperate place in my Christian walk and turning aside to the little field in the front of the church where my 2 homeschooled kids took guitar lessons and going, what if I didn't, run errands, check my list, just keep running and doing everything. And I was distraught over a lot of shakings going on around me. And I went into that field and just reconsecrated myself to God, my heart to God, and just spent that time with him. And out of that, I started recording my prayers and what God showed me. And eventually it got to the point where it felt like sin. Like, what am I supposed to do with this? Could this help somebody else? And it was when a friend of ours died tragically in a car accident, and I knew something I'd written would minister to his family, was when I first, stepped out and shared something. And it's gone from there. I can't imagine writing aside from God. I mean, that's when it's at its best. As Alan Arnold would say, writing with God, not just for God, but with God. I get myself in trouble when I try and do things in my own strength.
You have an interesting name for your website. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, when I was in that field every week talking to God, and he was talking to me, I would actually listen. Sometimes I would text Dave, our guitar teacher, the kid's guitar teacher. Probably drove him crazy sometimes. And other times I would, what God was showing me. And one morning I was actually at home that morning, and I was vacuuming, and randomly I put down the vacuum, picked up the phone, and texted Dave, and I said, sometimes it's as if Jesus walks into the room and says, let's go. Sometimes I ask him where we're going. Sometimes I tell him I don't want to go. He usually replies, follow me. Dave replied, quoting from Kyle Idleman's Not a Fan book. And Kyle was quoting someone else. Forgive me, I don't remember who it was, but he sent me back a text message saying, I want my first tattoo to say, come and die, referring to laying down your life, come and die being laying down your life for Christ and others, and living for him. And I shot back, tattoo it on your heart, walk it out in your skin. And I was barely, embracing the writing journey, and I looked at the words, and they felt like they stood up on the screen, if you will. And so I joined the Jerry Jenkins Writers Guild in January, and my first writers group at my local library on the same night in that month. And Jerry pushes you to start a website, and I resisted until April 21st. And I said, fine. And I asked God, praying about a name. And I didn't want a name that just appealed to the church. I wanted something that was kind of a hook for those that weren't churched. And I remembered those words. It's like I could see them in front of my face. And now sometimes I make the middle T larger and sometimes red in my graphics. So it's the 3 crosses, the one in the middle being
Yeah.
Jesus.
Oh, wow. I didn't, that, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely
Yes.
right.
So
It's that point in time in our show, we're getting ready to wrap things up. And Rachel, I know you have some signings coming up. You have other things going on. Where do people buy your books? How do they get in touch with you? Do you have anything coming up here very shortly that the world needs to know about?
well, my book is available on Amazon and Barnes and Noble and other fine bookstores, as they say. Available at the Yellow Umbrella Books in Chatham and Where the Sidewalk Ends in Chatham and the Brewster General Store in Brewster and Cape Cod. And I'll be signing at Barnes and Noble, Cape Cod Hyannis, the Saturday before Thanksgiving. Cape Cod Toy Library in Barnstable, Cape Cod, Mass. This Saturday, 9 to 12. I'll be reading and signing. We'll be doing fun activities with the kids. And looking forward to others. And my website, love to have you visit. Sign up for my newsletter. I will not spam you. I do not have the self-discipline, sadly, but love to have you on the journey. And you can click from there to Amazon for my book. And always reach out to me. Anytime, welcome to reach out through my website. I'd love to hear from people.
Yeah, we're live TV, but later on today we're going to be on audio platforms. And so for the audio audience, the name of the site is Tattoo, Tattoo, Tattoo It, IT, on your heart.com. So tattooitonyourheart.com.
And the hardcover releases on October 30th with a different cover and a new illustration on the inside.
Rachel, it has been so nice. I really appreciate you joining us, and I really wish you the best in your writing career, and loved our conversation today. Thank you again.
Thank you so much for having me.
And we will catch you down the road, I am sure. There's no doubt in my mind about it. Well, I'm Red O'Loughlin. We're getting ready to wrap up today's show on the Corner Bookstore on the USA Global TV and Radio Network. If you're watching today's show on YouTube, we really encourage you, if you're not already a subscriber of the USA Global TV and Radio Network and Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck, really would love to have you be a subscriber. I'm a researcher. When I'm not doing, I do 3 shows every Thursday back to back to back. This is my middle one today. And I research the human body at the cellular level, chemically speaking. I'll look for cause and effect relationships. Treat a cause, fix a problem, treat symptoms, and you'll always be treating symptoms. And so my specialty, or my area of real passion, is longevity and aging, age-related issues. And so that's primarily what I write about. My latest book just came out last month. It's called Aging Sucks. It's not a health book. It's not an anti-aging book. It's not a longevity book. It's a book about understanding the aging processes in the body and what influences them. And ironically, the same thing that causes us to age also causes us to semi-be younger, because our lifestyle choices are the things that create damage in our body. And when that damage accumulates so much our body can't repair it, we start having really quick accelerated aging. My next book coming out is going to be called Pain Sucks. That hopefully will be out before Christmas. But with that, I am going to leave you all, and I look forward to catching you next week. And if you're around here in a few more minutes, about 21 minutes, I'll be doing a show here on the USA Global TV and Radio Network called The Wise Ones. And today I'll be talking about, let's see, what is my talk today? Before you ask what's wrong, ask what changed. And that applies primarily to your health. So Red O'Loughlin signing off, and we'll catch you down the road. Bye now.
What if many of the problems we associate with aging are not random? What if there are identifiable causes behind declining energy, chronic disease, and memory problems? We have been told that aging is simply something we must accept, that slowing down is normal, that growing older means growing weaker. But what if that's only part of the story? Why do some people remain active and engaged well into their later years? Why do others struggle with disease, fatigue, and declining health? What is happening beneath the surface? What processes drive aging? In Aging Sucks, researcher, educator, and author Red O'Loughlin explores what researchers have discovered about why we grow older. No medical degree required, no confusing jargon, just clear explanations of what researchers have discovered about the processes that influence aging. You cannot stop aging, but understanding its causes may help you make better decisions about your health, your future, and your quality of life. Because understanding comes before action. Action creates hope. Aging sucks. End the guesswork. There is hope.
Thank you, viewers and listeners of USA Global TV and Radio, for joining us today. We're honoured to have your time and attention as part of our global community. At USA Global TV and Radio, we believe in the power of authentic conversations, meaningful connections, and creating a world of possibilities together. Want to be part of something bigger? Join our team of elevated listeners at usaglobaltv.com, a space where your voice matters and your ability to listen transforms relationships. Stay connected with us across all our platforms for thought-provoking discussions, expert insights, and empowering stories. Subscribe to our channels at youtube.com/c/USA Global TV. Follow us on social media and explore the endless opportunities we're creating for growth, learning, and inspiration. Together, we're not just broadcasting, we're building bridges and changing lives one conversation at a time. For inquiries, contact us at info@usaglobaltv.com. Produced by Executive Producer and Director Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck. Voiceover by Mike Porter. Creative direction by Paul Garcia. All rights reserved. Visit usaglobaltv.com to view our full terms and conditions.